Sitting by the Fire, a podcast on ancestral wisdom, medicine, heritage, and transformation by Anna Solyom. Hi everyone, a very good morning or a very good afternoon or evening, depending on where you are at this beautiful globe of ours. And I'm very happy to welcome in our circle today, Michelle Ayn Tessenshon. And this is our new podcast, Sitting by the Fire, a discussion with ancestors. And Michelle, where are you today? Where are you connecting from?
I'm in the future, in the evening. I'm calling in from Singapore in Southeast Asia, just slightly north of the equator, and under Malaysia. And it's good to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm in Barcelona in Spain, so it's just at the southern parts of Europe. And my inspiration to share something around our passion around ancestors actually came from a chat with you. And this is why I'm very happy to chat about this topic with you. What is your profession? How would you introduce yourself to all those who are listening to us?
Thank you. I'm a healer and a guide. That's what I call myself. So I offer ancestral healing sessions, and I also do NARM, neuroaffective relational modeling, which is a mindfulness-based psychotherapy that works on attachment and developmental trauma. I've trained as a mindfulness meditation teacher. I used to practice Zen Shiatsu. I trained and worked as a coach as well for many years. And I recently moved back to healing a few years ago, although my coaching always had that healing element. Healer and guide, that's how I describe myself.
Thank you. And how did you come into contact with this greater web of life where we include maybe all those who have lived before us, also maybe this world that surrounds us?
Ancestors and ancestral healing?
Yes.
Yeah. It was probably about maybe 2015, 2016, around there. I had a chronic health issue. I was trying to cure and to heal, and I was not used to having health issues because I was always quite free of even colds and flu and really healthy. It was very humbling for me and frustrating and expensive and time consuming. And I feel like I tried everything, doctors, homeopaths, Chinese medicine. And then I read an article about family constellations and how it was really successful in treating certain stubborn health conditions or mental or psychological issues. So I thought I'd try, and it made me feel hopeful in some way and inspired. So I had some sessions, I did some training, but I was looking for a deeper training in this work for my own self also, as well as my clients. So I also noticed I had clients who would come to me for coaching or as a meditation student. And there was sort of deeper issues I couldn't quite get at with the therapies and tools that I had, the things I'd been trained in. So I was looking for additional tools to help my clients. So I came to constellations, and then when I was looking for more training, I found ancestral lineage healing and ancestral medicine run by Daniel Fo.
Yes, I hear you. So something that happened with your health was turning you toward broader understanding of life, or how we are influenced by different surroundings, including our ancestors. And you said it was expensive and frustrating, and you were trying everything. I think that's something that shows up many times in life, that we are positioned somewhere in front of a door that we don't know how to enter, but we know that we have to enter, that's the way we have to follow. And I also remember that you said that your journey in the healing started very early. when you were young.
Yes.
Did you consider um, ancestors in the time when you started to practice yoga and everything?
Oh, that was many years ago. That was the 90s. That was like mid to late 90s. And I was living in England at that time, and yoga was not something that was so popular like it is now. And where I was also, well, I wouldn't say a small town, but it wasn't maybe a few 100,000 people. There weren't a lot of courses or talks or classes available. It was before like the internet was really developed, so there wasn't so much access to teachings, I would say. So it was really what books were in the bookshop or what my friends told me, what teachers visited this kind of city I lived in, this and no, I didn't at all. It was more learning about yoga, Buddhism, philosophy, some other metaphysical teachings, and some shamanic also teachings, which I always felt affinity for, I will say.
Hmm. For you, does shamanism connect with ancestral healing? How is it for you? How do you understand it?
Yes, because ancestral lineage healing is animist-based practice. It's oriented in an animist way, and to me, shamanism is animism. I mean, it's sort of interchangeable, um, and used in that way. So in those days, we didn't really use the term animism. Like for me, growing up as a Catholic, we saw animist as very backward, and I had very prejudiced views without any really real knowledge. And now I realize, oh, it's indigenous wisdom, and I have deep respect for it. But I always felt drawn and an appeal about it, in a way, although I didn't understand. But I know that many animist practices and healers do work with ancestors. So that's the connection for me.
Yes, I think that right now, where we're speaking in the early February in 2025, I think there are a lot of modalities or approaches that are available to address intergeneration, transgenerational heritage, and working with the ancestors.
Yeah.
And also, you said that you came in contact first with family constellation. That was also my case. And
Right.
and then I found that I love family constellation, and in my case, it was not enough,
Yeah.
to go back to where actually the disconnection started in my lineages or the difficulties accumulating. It started a lot more before than the
Yeah.
seventh generation.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most fascinating thing for me in this approach of ancestral medicine that Daniel Four developed is this contemplation of time in a way of timelessness, that there is a time where it's unimaginable for the mind, because I can't possibly imagine how people were living 300,000 years ago, just to put a number. But there is a possibility to connect and follow that depth in time through bloodlines, through blood ancestors. So there is something magical in the blood, if we want to say, not only the eternal use, as sometimes people call it right now, but also maybe a wisdom that is really available for everyone. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's beautiful the way you put it. I've never thought about it that way, but yeah, it makes sense. And to me, it's also the connection, the wisdom, but also the connection, the support, the belonging. Um, and
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Family constellations was also my entryway, and it was very well explained, the connection between the ancestors and our any challenges we had. So I have an aunt who passed away when she was 19. And in family constellations, you must know, right? Like if you have an issue, they track the similarities between your issue and maybe an ancestor. And
Yeah.
I realized my issue started when I was 19, like things just suddenly shifted. And so I felt I had a very clear connection to an ancestor who, in those days, they don't talk much about people who died of more tragic circumstances because it was believed it would make it worse. Don't talk about painful things. So she wasn't really talked about much.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I went on a journey to kind of reclaim the memory of her, I would say, as
Mm.
patients, and also in the hopes of healing myself. Um, but yeah, and in some way bringing her back into the fold, into that connection, into the blood, into the family. So I think in family constellations, the idea is to also bring people back into the field of the ancestors. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's true. That's true. I'm thinking about an ancestor of mine, as you mentioned, your aunt. She was my great grandmother, so the mother of my father's father on my father's side, and we don't know what happened. The family legend is that she committed suicide around 1931 or 32.
Heard
And
that.
yeah, and I was already in the ancestral medicine work where I could locate her grave. So at just one point at one site said, "Oh, she's here," and I know where she is in the Jewish cemetery in Budapest in the Cosma Street, but I was unable to locate her graves. It's just so old, and usually they would have like a less central role for deceased persons with unnatural deaths or suicide. That was really not accepted in that time, absolutely not. And but that was really interesting to come back to this memory, and she's still healing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that part of the lineage, but yeah, I think it's really important to come back to like also we could say maybe in trauma approaches,
Mhm.
like really recognize what has happened or just look at it and honor the fact that this is part of the system, this is part of the family field, that for instance they work also with family constellations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think family constellation is maybe the easiest way to understand how ancestral work or ancestral healing can work.
Yeah. It's good kind of introduction. I think it's very clearly explained. It's quite simple. It's quite accessible. I still do it sometimes with some clients, but my experience of going into workshops and other trainings was I felt sometimes there was not a lot of care around ritual and psychological safety. So
Yeah.
I witnessed like some people being quite rough, pulling others, and I experienced racism myself when I went overseas to do some
Mhm.
trainings. Guys, oh, there isn't this teaching about cultural sensitivity and people walking out because it was very intense. So I think my observation was that some people train very deeply and thoroughly and are quite skillful. But because there's no very clear certification or competency process, there's a wide range of people who practice.
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
the
that's true.
modality itself doesn't seem to foreground safety. So yeah, I think it was very helpful to me and I still use it, but I was looking, that's how I came to Daniel's work. I think I was looking for more and I really liked how like down to earth he was and I felt, very kind of gracious and generous also in the sharing and very knowledgeable. And so yeah, I appreciate the foregrounding of safety in this approach.
I, I can echo what you said. I appreciate safety in this approach. Absolutely. It's it's helpful to ground and really also to help the mind to understand the why
Mhm.
of things as much as it's possible. I think the mind is like this little raccoon that always comes and goes and wants to steal things. But it's really wonderful how this approach is really good. But for those who don't know what is this or are not familiar with it yet, what was the most, if it's something that you can share, what is that impact in your life that you say, yes, this is, I need this. I want to continue in this work.
Yeah, I think first of all, so now I'm a practitioner and I'm actually a mentor for trainees, which I enjoy very much. But I didn't intend initially, I wasn't sure I was going to train first. I started doing sessions and immediately I had this sense of things just really opening up to me, a whole kind of world, new world and connections and relationships and hope also, for healing.
Mm.
So I think relationships or family that I kind of shied away from and didn't really want to connect with surprised me
Mm.
because where there was most unwellness, there was also most gratitude for the healing and many gifts to be had. So yeah, it was really revealing also to connect with my ancestors in this way and to discover. So, I've since learned about my DNA. I've done the test and my family has. We have different tests, which I think because each of us use a different company, so we have quite a wide database. I believe in DNA. I know some people are skeptical,
No,
but
it's good.
it,
I made mine as well. So.
yeah, yeah. But it confirmed everything that I saw, that didn't really make sense at the time. Things like West Asia and East, like Central Asia, and um, even Papua. You can't see, but my hair is very curly. I mean,
Yes,
and
yes.
yeah, and in my DNA it says Papua. I had a sense I was in like East Indonesia, like far out, and that's where Papua, um, the island, right, shares Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. And yeah, it was there exactly my DNA, and my love for Korean culture, it's like there. And it doesn't make sense because I have no knowledge of this in my kind of immediate family. But eating kimchi soup to me is like, oh my God, it's the ancestors are like, yes, more of this, please.
Yes.
We've missed this. And I was talking to a Korean shaman recently in Mudang, and she said, oh, you have Korean ancestry far back. I was like, yes, you're right.
Oh,
Um,
that's beautiful.
So, many things were confirmed for me. For example, like my mother walking into the kitchen one day and telling me, "Oh, three of my grandparents are from Sri Lanka." I didn't ask her, but that again was showing up. So yeah, my experience was that it deepened my relationship with my family, with my ancestry, with myself in so many, many ways. I feel like there's not enough time to share. And yeah, I think my health issue didn't go away exactly. It is not known to be curable. So, but I think I changed my attitude. I have very minimal symptoms and certainly not pain, not very often, very rare. So I came to see it as a kind of reminder of my humanity and something that connects me more to 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 others, to the part of me that is human. Um, Also humbles me. I can't cure and heal everything.
Oh, yes, I hear you.
Reminds you of my age, as we age, it's harder and yeah, life. So yeah, it changed. So yeah, it was a different way, I guess, of healing and it opened things up for me and a gift in a way. I don't wish for it, but it led me here. And also, yeah, my relationship with my relationships have improved a lot in many, many ways. And I feel like I've reclaimed myself, in
Mhm.
other ways. So I think what's beneficial about working with the ancestors is how you come to know who you are and express that um, in
Mm.
a very kind of unique, nobody else can do way,
Oh, yes.
which is yeah very fulfilling. And the people you meet like you, and
Yes.
the connections I've made, yeah, they mean a lot to me, and it just changes to me your experience of life in a very um, yeah, in a very meaningful and fulfilling way.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you're sharing about it. Thank you. I I share this feeling with you. What a surprise. Mhm. That it's really such a fulfilling and maybe in a way it's a possibility to come to feel close to completeness in
Yeah.
this life. Like you're not missing a piece or you're not missing a thing, but you're you, and it's okay. No, I think
Yeah.
one of the strongest experience with it for me was like, oh, I can take off this bag, this backpack I'm taking on, and I want to heal everyone and resolve things. And how does it feel that somebody really has your back in a loving way from the spirit world? Yes, but why do we think that the spirit world is not part of our world? It's I do believe that our senses, we can say that we have five senses or six senses, including intuition. It really is something that we can refine as we age, and we take care of ourselves, and we discern what things can come close and what things we don't really want to engage with, which is also one of the basics of working with ancestors, as I learned. And it also was really meaningful for me. And what you share about relationships transforming and connections deepening, I think that's really one of the benefits of opening to broader reality. Like in a way, we live in a society where we're still very focused on material existence in every possible way. So it's really part of like reclaiming ourselves in our true essence when we come to broaden this perspective, this life we are given to. And I think it's also really a beautiful way to recognize that life is a gift, because it's not every time how we feel about it, especially when we are in a deep hole with difficulties and battling with very materialistic and real things. But I think all the practice that we do, and if you practice yoga or anyone practicing anything, listening to us, mindfulness, or meditation, or dancing, or whatever, that your practice really is like a pillar holding onto you and helping you when you are in a difficult time. And I think right now we are quite in a difficult time in this globe. So it's really important how we connect and how we stay in relationship with all the world that is around us, and especially with ourselves. And I think that I don't know what you think about it, Michelle, but I think to stay in contact with ourselves, for me, it has become really important to connect to the field. Like where I am at, also in the place where I'm living, it's now in Catalonia, in Barcelona, with this land. And sometimes my mind makes it up as if it was a fairy tale. I know it's not, but it's like we have beautiful tales in Hungary where actually, so there is a princess, something happens, okay, she has to go to work in the last village as if she was a commoner. That's like a very grim type tale. But then also in the grim tales, like you cooperate and collaborate with the other beings, the other than human beings. And this is what actually brings you back to the life that you want to live, or the life that is gifted for you. And as a writer, and I know you're a writer as well, I think sometimes the overlapping of reality with the imaginative world is maybe leading us to a life that is richer in many ways.
Definitely. Yeah. That was my experience of engaging more deeply with the ancestors, and through this work, this deepening of relationship with myself and my ancestors led to a deepening of relationship with all of life, really, with the earth, with the elements, with nature, also the powers, guides, and deities that I tend relationships with. And I really understood the importance, and the benefit of tending to these relationships, and I kind of see now, oh, that's kind of the point, that's such a big part of being alive, is relationships and tending to them in a particular way,
Yeah.
and Yeah, and I think when you're connected and you feel that support from your people and you feel that connection to the earth and how much is given to you, there's no other thing to do except to give back, to give also away and to be in service, in whatever way you can, because there's so much that's given to you. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, I would say.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I just remember now, as you were speaking, that when I was in my maybe first, second, or third family constellation, I remember coming out like a bit like, ooh, there was something, and that something really has happened. And how I told myself that this is really the treasure of life. Like nothing else is important as much as relationships and how we tend to them, and to be able to tell those words I want to tell until someone is still alive. It has different echo. No, it's very different, and I'm also learning that it's maybe in some ways it can be a lot easier to tend ancestors than to tend alive people around us, including our families. No? Because Ramdas, I really looked up to him. I really like him. He said that if you believe you are enlightened, go and spend a week with your family. And yes, absolutely right, absolutely true. Family is the closest thing that they know our buttons. They know unconsciously how to trigger us. So like we're all over the place, but still there is something deep, 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 deep connection that nobody can take away. And this is the connections with the blood. So I think also there is one part of this work, if, for me at least, that really offers me maybe a buffer zone or a space to somehow be more real or tend more deeply with all those relationships around me, with those who are still alive, because that's really important, how we
Yeah,
deal with them.
that's a good point. And I think, I mean, for me anyway, speaking for myself, when I was younger and I started out because I was overseas, and my family was mostly in Singapore, I had this thing like, oh, I needed to be away from them to feel better and I'll be free. Singapore at that time, well, it still is, but, quite restrictive. And I went to a convent school, so I had a lot of like, restrictions also about going out. So, but it was very hard to go so far at that time, and but I still wanted to stay, and I spent many years actually going back to England and thinking this is my place. And I do have English ancestry. In fact, I have an ancestor, I think great 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 grandfather, who came here to Singapore, married with his wife, with kids, went on a boat to go back to England and died on the boat. Then she turned the boat around and came back.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I almost feel like I was trying to complete that journey that he didn't, complete. And I kept wanting to go back. I always dream of England. I just did again. And I'm like, again, after, I mean, I left like, I think over 20 years ago. So it's funny, but I kept coming back to Singapore, because Southeast Asia is deeply relational, partly because we're little islands, maybe, but it's our culture, and I
Mm.
live with my mother and my nephew, and before this, my other nephew lived with us, and so we live in generational homes, and I was very ashamed of that for a long time because I went to England and you're supposed to be independent. If you're 18, you're out, and now I've come to see the beauty of the community that we share and how we help each other out. um, and I've kind of, again, like the illness, this the situation I was trying to run away from and get away from didn't change, but I changed, and I came to be thankful for the groundedness and support it provides to me, and to be humble about the other ways in which I find it challenging. um, and I think I had tended my relationship so well to Singapore, I just couldn't leave. I kept coming back. Um, So yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's been a journey. So that's why I do both. Personally for me, that kind of therapy. I also had non-therapy, trying to deal with some relational challenges.
Mm.
They're very complementary. They work together, and my clients also. I do both with them often. So I'm not. Yeah, I don't really. Sometimes I don't like the way psychology has become so popular because I think there's this focus on individualism and what happened to me, why I suffer. It's kind of very individualistic,
Mm.
whereas it gets the community, the context, the how you impact others as well, right? And what you receive from them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think animism to me and ancestral healing brings that balance, and it brought it back for me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true and so beautiful that you're saying. It reminds me of Sophie Strand, this author from
yes,
um, US,
yes,
Canada, and she says like we are an ecosystem. The body is an ecosystem, and our lives is an ecosystem of things, people participate. So I think we also metabolize all the society that's around us in a way, like we're like all those alchemists,
yeah.
smuting whatever is coming and sending back whatever we can in many ways. I have a curiosity. Can I ask you a question around
Yes,
your ancestor who took the boat and died in it, and your great grandmother came back?
great, great, great.
Great grandmother. Hmm. Have you ever tried to take a boat to
To
England?
to England.
Yeah.
No, but I'm taking a boat to Indonesia this Friday.
Okay.
And actually, I get seasick. I don't like boats. I take boats, but I have like a tin of mints because I'm not helping them because I'm like seasick.
Yeah, yeah, that's a true thing. I because you were telling that you keep repeating the
Yeah.
journey that he couldn't do at the end because he died, and you're coming back and you're going and coming back. And I had this idea in my mind, oh, maybe he still wants to go on the journey with the boat.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why I keep dreaming of England, right? I was like, again, it's
Oh, you
like,
keep dreaming of England. Wow. The land is
yeah,
calling. Mm.
interesting. Yeah, and I used to really want to go back and live there, but I don't anymore. I don't feel any connection. And
Yeah.
I've since found other connections, right? So Indonesia for me also, I have Indonesian ancestors. That is a land I feel really at home in.
Ah,
So
that's
yeah.
yeah. I almost went once to live in Indonesia, but because I was dancing Kuchipudi, which is an Indian dance drama when I was around 20 something. And then there was, I really wanted to go away from Hungary. So I have a shared experience in a way with you and that. And I sent in a scholarship for Indonesia to learn the Indonesian dance, which is similar but different, a really beautiful dance. And I don't remember in which island they gave me the in the, so I won basically.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't have the courage to go alone. I don't know why. There was something like, I don't know. I don't know. You can really live $60 a month there. I don't know, and I don't have money, so I don't. It was
I
like,
don't
oh my God.
anymore, but
It was,
maybe
it was like 20 years ago, and even more. It was
more.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think before. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I won the scholarship, but I didn't go, and I haven't been there, so it's on absolutely on my list
Don't
to be able to get it because that's this is a region according to my DNA, I don't have ancestors. I had the most south I have is somewhere in the territory of present Russia and Mongolia, so that part possibly. But I have always felt like a deep pull from Southeast Asia, like, oh, that's
oh, come.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, I go to Indonesia quite a lot because my friend has a resort there. And it's close. You can get there like an hour on a boat by ferry here.
Oh,
Uh,
it's good. Hmm.
Massages and good food. And again, my ancestors are like, yes, more of this.
Yeah, they are
So
happy, no?
I'm very happy. And yeah, I can feel my people, the bones of my people when I step on that land. I feel welcome. It's familiar. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
A bit of concluding. I have another question, if that's okay. Yeah. What was the I know our Western mind, my Western mind likes this the biggest thing, the most helpful, all the superlatives. Maybe it doesn't need to be a big thing, but something that you feel you've met through the ancestral work and it's still with you because it's so dear to you or so important, like a message that your ancestors gave you or something that you learned from them.
Um, yeah, it's interesting because I love learning, so I'm always learning and there's always new things. But I think most of all is that continuous support, like they're always there, they're always supporting, they're always, behind me. And yeah, really without fail. So that is something that um, stays with me and impacts me and inspires me to keep going. Yeah, that's one big thing I would say. And something I notice with other people, that yeah, they're just always there. But I will say this was after the healing what was done, so that connection was clearer. So there is some necessity to tend and to develop that connection. But once I did, and I guess I tend to it also every day, um, yeah, it's definitely makes me feel stronger and more stable and more helps me stay aligned to my path. And I did a mini workshop recently, and we did a drop-in. That's what we call it when we kind of connect to our ancestors. And one of the participants said, oh, I didn't get much. They just said, they love me and keep going or something. And I think she was, yeah, it was so sweet. And also often people get these kinds of messages, and she seemed a little like disappointed. I think she wanted some big message, but I said to her, not being in connection, not being on the right path is very uncomfortable. So it's good that you're on the right path and you had the affirmation. And, really, I didn't say it to her, but, my sense is be thankful. And I am thankful that I have that. And it's so, yeah, it just feels very satisfying and it kind of renews, every day you're kind of renewing because you're connected.
Yes, yes. That's like a regular renewing of the connection. Like we go and take a shower every morning or every afternoon or whenever you do. So it's really we are in connection and we're tending when we are in connection, just like calling our parents or friends.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes. What would you like to add? I saw you were thinking of
Uh,
something.
Yeah, I think the important thing also is that there's that kind of effort to keep up the connection, like any relationship, I guess. You must continue to pay attention in some way so that keeps it at that level that you feel it. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's available, I would say, to us.
It's available. And also what I think it's important, and for me it's important that it's available and they know you. So you don't need to be anyone else than you are, or you can be with your flaws and mistakes. And it's so that's the beauty also, like being held with this complete incompleteness of humanity. So it can be really part of the whole process.
Yeah, I think it's very freeing also to be able to just be yourself, and I had this kind of aha recently. Uh, well, the way I express myself and how sometimes it doesn't land for people, and I don't mean it. But
Yes.
I realize that it's also part of my kind of blood and lineage. We have this way of expressing ourselves. And it's, yeah, the intent is to help, and to teach or to guide, and it's not malicious or ill meaning, but it doesn't always received well. And I was confused. I was like, but I didn't mean it that way. But then I realized today, oh, that's part of the trickster energy, that
Oh yeah, trickster energy is a whole new chapter. That's really interesting. Yeah.
yeah. But to realize that, I was like, oh yes. And there's this thing we have in our family called the Tessenshon tongue, and the women have it, not the men, the women. And it's also misused, I would say, by my great aunts, but I have it. And
Yeah.
I've tried to, but I can't. See, I'm laughing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it does go in sometimes, and it's like, ooh, for some people. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But it's not, there's no ill will, and to me,
Yeah.
I'm just being right. And but yeah, so it was really interesting to realize, oh yes, this is from this lineage, and this is why, and I just let it go because it bothered me for a long time,
Yeah.
uh,
It's like coming to peace with
yes,
what sometimes just pop-ups from you and goes without
yeah.
being comfortable in it. Yeah.
That piece of me, that particular blood lineage and what it's about. um yeah, and there's many pieces, right, of our different blood lineages. And yeah, it's like putting that jigsaw together. It's very satisfying. You're like, oh yes, this piece. Oh yes, okay. So
I love this part of the recognition of what we actually carry from different lineages. It's something that can absolutely lift the weight
yeah,
on our imperfections and what we have.
and
Mm.
our gifts also release our gifts.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Many
That's
times I've,
what I hope to
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. And then you go.
That I think the gifts, many times they're already present, but without
Yeah,
this capacity of being able to see where is
yeah,
it coming from and how.
yeah, to free ourselves to express it. And that's what I hope to do in my work, actually, to help people to express their gifts, their abilities, their talents. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you very much for being with me, with us today here. And yeah, it was lovely to get to know a bit closer and to share this time together and to connect in this very real and very special place we call the Ancestors Realm. Thank
Mm.
you so much, Michelle, for being here today. And yeah, I hope you did enjoy this chat and we will continue.
Very much. Thank you so much, Anna. It's always nice to connect. I feel like I never have enough time to talk to you. I could say so much, and yeah, it's always lovely to share and to be with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much.